Well, hello everyone, and welcome to this webinar in our Medical Manufacturing and Supply Chain series. Today, Kimberly Tan's going to talk about manufacturing medical products in China for China. He's going to talk for about 20 minutes, and then we'll be happy to ask your questions. Please just use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, and then we'll go over them. Thanks so much for joining us, and Kimberly, it's all yours.
All right, thank you, Patty. Hello, first of all, good morning, everyone. My name is Kimberly, and for today, I'm going to introduce the Market Authorizations Holder Program as a key vehicle for the China market strategy. So let me just begin with the agenda here. So I'm going to start with a little bit of the background on why you ought to be interested in this Market Authorizations Holder Program. What is this policy about? Then we'll go next to defining the right partner, 2 case studies, and also talk about the next step about getting ready. Now, at this point in time, COVID-19 hogs the headlines, responsible for the worst healthcare and economic crisis in decades. So before this geopolitical tensions, financial crisis, the world was constantly buffeted by crisis, which created all sorts of challenges for businesses. And regionalizations is becoming the immediate to do things on everyone's mind. So business has to find ways to regionalize in China. So why you should be interested in China? You want to sell into one of the largest and fastest growing healthcare market in the world. Now in this slide over here, even as the second largest economy and one of the largest healthcare spenders in the world, China healthcare still lags major market by a huge gap. As can be seen on the right side of the chart here, where the per capita health spending was just about 600s as compared to the world's top 8 healthcare market. This points to a huge potential for growth. Healthcare expenditure grew about 2.5 times from 2011 to 2018, but China has a strategic plan to double that up their healthcare spend in the next 10 years. So what is stopping you from selling in China? Now, first of all, the trade dispute between US and China is not going to let up. And there is a need to figure a way to navigate the complexities in the new norm. While there is a need to reduce dependence on the West, China understands it still needs the technology and solutions from the Western original equipment manufacturers. And they prefer to adopt soft barriers to achieve their strategic intent. But barriers nonetheless, regulatory pathway and limited hospital tend to incentivize local manufacturing. At the same time, China is bringing local companies up the value chain and achieving independence from foreign technologies through import substitutions. Now over here, in the case of import substitutions, China has already reduced dependence on products such as patient monitorings. Over here, Western original equipment manufacturers now captures about just 50% of this patient monitoring. As for product segments where Western original equipment manufacturer still holds strong majority, accounting for more than 80%, there are already strong Chinese companies playing in this space. Case in point, computer tomography scanners, magnetic resonance imaging equipment, and also the ultrasound is dominated by GPS. Okay. So other local companies such as UI and Newsofts are becoming strong local contenders. The Western original equipment manufacturers are going to find it harder and harder to compete as the fast-growing demand in China is directed towards local production. And finally, even as you deliberate between direct investment and pursuing joint venture, there are a multitude of risks and concerns that further delay or complicates the time to market, such as long investment time versus dynamic environment, efforts in developing local talent and supply chain, and government bureaucracy. So in summary, these are the main desires and concerns on your mind. Access to the fastest growing healthcare market in the world, minimize impact and overcome the barriers, minimize risk of investment, and prevent losing intellectual properties through joint ventures with a proven partner. But first, what is this market authorizations holder policy? Now, this policy allows companies with legal entities in China to outsource complete finished device. It came into the scene in Shanghai as of December 2017 and now extended to 21 provinces, autonomous regions and municipalities in China, such as in Beijing, Tianjin, Hebei, Jiangsu, Shanghai, Guangxi, Guangdong. Okay, so these are the few provinces. So prior to the MAH, okay, we need to understand what are the policies and the routes looks like. Okay, so here you see that before the market authorization holder programs was initiated, manufacturer will need to complete the device, for example, the first route overseas and import into China. The second route is manufacture the complete device in China, you export it, and you re-import it into China. And the third route is actually manufacture the final device in China. The challenge with the first two processes are the long supply chain and also the inventory build-up, long regulatory pathways, and that end customers are incentivized to buy local. As for the third process, a customer has to invest in local manufacturing. So with the market authorization holders program, we can be the one-stop manufacturer. A customer could access all the benefits of local manufacturing without need to invest in a footprint or manufacturing resources. So next I'll talk about finding the right kind of partner. In Flex, we have the footprints and capabilities, intellectual property protection process and track records, government and national and provincial medical product administration relationship, as well as strong understanding of the applicable regulations. Most importantly, we have successfully done it with 2 customers in 2 regions. So here's our footprints located in Gushu, Shenzhen, which is under the Guangdong province, and also the Shanghai, Suzhou, which is located within the Jiangsu province and the Shanghai area. So these are provinces with the market authorization holder program. Okay, so next we will walk through our experience with 2 case studies. So the first case study is a surgical imaging system with the Shanghai Medical Product Administration. So for customer A, they want to tap into the significant unmet needs in China for their product. However, they do not have an instrument manufacturing footprint. So building their footprint or continue to bring in their product as an imported device will cause them to be at least 3 years behind their competitors. So the market authorization holder program will allow customer A to achieve all their goals, but they need strong and experienced partner to help them. So through strong collaborative efforts between commercial operations and segment quality, Flex was able to convince customer A and secure a win over this business. Now in the second case study, this is actually on the blood glucose meter with Guangdong Medical Product Administration. So in the case of this customer B, prior to this MAH policy, Flex could only manufacture up to the sub-assembly level and had to ship to the customer parent's company to complete the final assembly and kitting process. After customer B was spun off, it had to find a way to do this outside of the parent company. When the market authorization holder program was launched in August 2018 in the Guangdong province, Flex immediately approached customer B to peruse the policy to simplify the manufacturing process. So we have several meetings that were organized to discuss all the possible solutions. finally, in April 2019, customer B was convinced and decided to apply to the MAH program by establishing a new company in Guangzhou City and appointing Flex as the contract manufacturer. So in both cases, we started by establishing a clear time schedule and roles and responsibility between the customers and Flex. Here is the general market authorization application flowchart. So we start off with having the customer establish a legal entity, develop the organization and quality management systems. We establish the agreements. So setting up the lines and validations in our company's Flex, and followed by the pre-submissions. And then we have the type test samples submitted to the appointed lab. Upon successful testings, the customer will apply for the product license. It takes about 3 to 6 months. And depending on the classification, the Medical Product Administration may conduct an on-site audits. Okay. And thereafter is to apply for the manufacturing license, followed by the mass productions. So we had facilitated multiple meetings with the government agencies and also the provincial Medical Product Administration to clarify on requirements, such as the design document transfer, type testing, and also the clinical trials. So far, the total project timeline is about 18 months, even with COVID. And this is significantly shorter than 3 to 5 years through importations. So finally, let's get you ready. This is not a slam dunk as circumstances differ and the essence is in the details. But the message that we want to bring to you is that we know the program, we have the relationship, we can craft the solutions based on each customer's unique requirements and situations. Here are the key National Medical Product Administration requirements. So you can see here we have the business license, product license, followed by agreements, documented quality management systems, qualified personnels, including the technical affairs, regulatory affairs, product and system qualities. Next, also the technical files, product release methods, medical device labeling, post-surveillance market, and traceability. So these are some of the key requirements that is required as part of the market authorization holder programs. So as I mentioned that this is time sensitive, so start socializing with us. You can email or contact us. And I think, yeah, that's the last slide. So thank you. So we open to the floors for any queries that you may have.
So much, Kimberly. Looks like we do have some questions. We'll start with one from Bruce, who says, is there a preferred location and region for application to MAH?
Well, Shanghai is actually I would consider as the best locations to apply for the MAH because the MAH program is initiated in the Shanghai Free Trade Zone location. So they will have a very comprehensive procedures and processes already developed by now.
All right, and then he also asked how much manufacturing content has to be done in China to fulfill made in China requirements.
There isn't specific figures for that, but obviously the content has to be considered as transformational. So in terms of the manufacturing contents, it would need to have things like testing, certain assembly, labeling, and packing to be considered as transformational.
All right, and Marco asks, now we only have a trading company in China. Can I use that entity to apply for the MAH program?
For the trading company that has been established, you cannot go directly with using that trading companies to establish an MAH program. This company will need to be registered to expand their scope to include post-surveillance, R&D, quality systems in order to be successful in the MAH applications.
Now, what about a valid imported device license for a product? Can you apply for the MAH for that product?
Now, if the device is imported, no, you can't. But if there's a certain contents where it is modified, for example, to cater to the China markets, or to have a different kind of a version, perhaps on a lower price scale, where some of these contents and design, it will have to be done within the China side. Depending on how this design is going to be, if just say the China entities, leverage the global procedures and is stated in their site procedures, right? Then depending on that situation, then they may still be able to leverage, but certain contents will still need to be designed in China.
Well, we're out of the questions that are asked for this webinar, but I do recall one from your past webinar, and it was about if the product is designed by their team outside China, can they use it to apply for the MAH program?
Yeah, as I alluded just now, that if they do have some of these contents that is design or activities that's done in China, possibly that can happen. But typically that will involve certain amendment or variations of that version that has already been sold in order to be considered to be successful in these MAH applications.
And is it necessary to redo the design validation and verification if the design is created outside of China?
There will be certain assessment that can be done, and we show that with this assessment, perhaps a big part of this design, not necessarily to go through the entire validation, but with that redesigning of the certain design, certain validation will still needs to take place within the China context.
Okay, great, that makes sense. Thanks so much, Kim Lee. And thanks everybody for joining us. I don't see any more questions, so I just wanted to thank you for your time. We know that you get a lot of requests for webinars. Thank you for joining us. You will receive the recording of today's talk and also our future Flex Talks, as we do have a monthly program. So we're happy to see you in the future. Thanks so much, Kim Lee. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.